Last time in episode 161 we looked at the WVP-A1 video camera, a national one. This one's branded Panasonic because, yeah, depending on where you buy it, it will be either national or Panasonic. And it was interesting. We took it all apart, had a good look at it, and this time though we're going to do a similar one. This time WVP-A1 national. So it's more or less the same thing, but it doesn't have autofocus. You can see that the bottom piece there does not exist on this model. It's just, yeah, you got to do the focusing yourself. No autofocus ability on this. The other thing that I noticed, which I didn't realize before, is that the title card, which attaches to the back of the A2 camera to allow you to do titling, plugs into there. Can't do that on the A1. It's no titles. It does not have the connector because it doesn't have the place where the connector would be down the bottom. And also it looks like this hand grip thing is more basic. Either that or it's been taken off already because it turned to this mush. So I guess that's also possible that it got removed. Another thing, the microphone, which is a removable microphone, and there's external inputs for stereo microphone. This one is built in, maybe it's stereo. No, it's mono, just one little thingy there. Yeah, it's lost its end piece. I'm not sure what it would have had on it. A little muff thing, I guess. Possibly with a rubbery shock absorber, maybe. But it's still got a stereo microphone input. Same viewfinder. And I think the other features on these controls are the same. The white balance, record review, the tape transport controls. Alright, we'll get into it, but let's have a look how we use this. It's just a video camera. It has no power source. It has no recording device in it. Instead of those things, you have to provide them externally. There's a connector there, which the camera cable will go onto. And then you plug that into a portable VCR. We've got an exciting one to look at here. Look at that. A National AG6400. It's a portable VHS VCR, and it happens to have 10-pin camera connector on it, which we can connect this up to. It's a slightly fancier model than the NV180 that we saw in the previous video. It has the more professional XLR for 12-volt input. It's got stereo sound, hi-fi audio recording, not just analog. And because of that, there's audio inputs and outputs and stereo microphone inputs, and some selection there of where the audio comes from for the hi-fi and for normal. So you can have like the camera recording onto the normal track and the mic inputs going to the hi-fi, or the line inputs going to hi-fi, or the other way around. You can choose. It's quite flexible there. And you get video input and outputs on BNC connectors and a timecode input and output. This thing is in pretty rough shape. Perhaps we try this out on a future video. I'll do a video about this VCR. I think I have 3 of those knocking about. The other way that you can power the camera is using a camera AC adapter, which we also looked at. And I found another one, because we looked at a range of different ones from different regions and also different brands. And this one here is a Japanese one, which we didn't see last time. Last time we were looking at a JVC brand Japanese model. This is a national one. So it's AC 100 volts input, 50 or 60 hertz, 18 VA apparently, VZCA77. So Japanese, as you expect, has good plug on it, national molded one. So, and connects your camera onto the front. Even tells you the pins that the power comes out of. And And this nicely rolled up cable here, flat cable. You get stereo audio, video on an RCA plug, and a remote pause on this 2.5mm phono style jack. So we should be able to try this camera out. I'm just going to just take it apart. We're going to try it out last time so that we can try it out again. Well, still, so it's 100 volts, this power supply, which means you have to run it from 100 volts. If you run it from 120 volts, it's likely you'll saturate the transformer and it will eventually burn out, because 120 volts is exceeding the 100 volts plus or minus 10% or so normal margin on that. So we've got this hooked up to a proper 100 volt AC supply, and we'll see what happens. What we found on these cameras, what we noticed is when it's in standby, this switch here, it puts the heaters on. Heater in the pickup tube and I think also in the viewfinder, so they'll be ready to go at a moment's notice. You see how the power jumped up to about 4 or 5 watts and then it dropped down to this 2.3 watts consistent, which will be heaters going, plus the loss of the transformer. We can have a look at that. Yeah, 1.3 watts just going into heating up the iron and copper in the transformer. Let's just see if what I said was correct. If we connect this up to 120 volts, will that go to a pretty high value, which will indicate saturation? Let's see. No, it went up a little bit, but not out of control. See, if it was going up to sort of 5-10 watts, then you're going to be in trouble. Well, especially if it went up to 10 watts. Yeah, so there's a bit of margin in the transformer, which is probably makes sense because it's old and it's also designed for 50 or 60 hertz. So in order to run on 50 hertz, there would be a bit of margin in there. Anyway, let's turn on this camera and see if it does anything. Red light there to say it's on standby, and then turn on the camera. Oh, this one is not in good shape, is it? So it's on here. You can choose whether it's indoors or outdoors, or whether you are indoors or outdoors, which affects how the white balance works. Point it at a surface, press the button. It is possible this power supply is dodgy, like it's not regulating very well, although everything's regulated in the camera, so I think it's much more likely that the camera is in bad shape. Not as good as the other one. While we're here, why don't we just check this Panasonic A2 camera. I don't know if I've ever turned this on before, but let's try it. Which way around does this thing go? There's a little triangle mark on the sleeve, which matches up to the little triangle mark on the connector body. And these cables get kinked up very easily because people don't know how to roll them up properly, and because they have individual shielded cores in them and single cores, so it gets out of, the twist gets messed up quite quickly if you're rough with it. Let's see, does this work? Oh yeah, look at that. Let's do the white balance. That perfectly good picture. High quality, well functioning camera. Using the macro function of the lens so you can get good close-ups of things. Lovely. Okay, well this A2 still works, I guess we'll keep that around. But the A11 is a bit sad. Presumably that's capacitors leaking in the power supply. Let's take it apart and have a look. And I was going to bring the tray of bits and pieces that we got out of the A2 so that we could compare those. I have to go and find that. Right, let's get this apart and let's see first. The horrible discovery we made from the A2 is that it has batteries in there. There's a a backup battery in here behind this little cover with a difficult to use screw, and it was corroded. Oh, look at that. Same thing's happening there. Oh dear. Okay, let's have a look what's in this one. What is behind door number 2? Yep, another battery that's gone bad. Dick Smith brand battery. Alkaline, extra plus alkaline. Lovely. That's the kind of thing we need, isn't it? Festering batteries. Let's try and hook that out into the trash. Damage will already have been done though. Yeah, really you gotta rinse it all out with vinegar and things and try and like, neutralize it. And that one might have been not too bad because it's, wow, I don't know, the positive terminal is very corroded, but the negative terminal, it just rusted the battery terminal off, like the little spring thing. Rusted off. I think you'd be better off putting like the heavy duty type batteries, the carbon whatever ones, rather than alkaline. Okay, well that's great. More disgustingly corroded batteries. Okay, let's get the back cover off. No, it's all rusted. Screws and things are rusted. That's going to make them hard to undo. That one. Oh dear. That puts a spanner in the works. A spanner? A screw that we can't undo in the works. Yeah, it's so rusted that the head just munched as soon as I tried to turn the screw. Yeah, that won't be coming undone, unfortunately. I might have to, I don't know, drill it out, I guess. Oh, that's annoying. I'm like stuck right at the start. Wonder if this has been wet. Used outside, got wet. Okay, well the grossness from the battery holder hasn't spread into this part as much as we saw on the A2 camera. Well, that's a good sign. Let's see, can we get this out? Maybe it was a NiCad battery in the other one. It made it ruin everything. Let's see, we'll just unplug these cables. Oh, it doesn't actually get it to fall off, but my suspicion is that some of the capacitors on this board have gone bad, and that's why it's not functioning well. There isn't any visible corrosion. But in that box there's a little power regulator, like switch mode regulator, so could be some crust in there. Okay, I'm gonna have to deal with that screw, so I will get back to you once I've worked out a way of dealing with that. Okay, the screw is being dealt to. Drilled that out. Now we can get in this thing, hopefully. Yes. Yeah, there's a remnant of the screw head. Oh, it went into this thing as well. The base, sort of. Oh yeah, that's right, it's clipped together. Okay, we have to get rid of that mess. Alright, so the sides will now open up. Little clips there. And I'm pretty sure that these boards here will be the same as the other ones from the A2 camera. Got them, look at that. Yes, there's a ROM there, which is something, I looked it up, something compensation waveform generator, shading correction waveform generator. So something to do with undoing like manufacturing variances in the camera tube by programming that to output a waveform which will offset it. Now, well, they're definitely different revisions of the board because the part number is written there, which isn't on this one. It's down here. This is the serial number. It seems to be quite different. That one seems to be the same. It's got the same capacitor bodges on it. Well, some of them. It doesn't have that one. This is VRY00A 1E4B. So that's the same. 1E5B on that bottom board is the same, but this one, AE2E3, seems to be different, but visually, I don't know, there is differences. Yeah, there's a bit of difference here. That connector isn't on there. I wonder what it went to. And that wide one there is a narrow one. See, you can see where it would be. So the same boards, but they're slightly different populated. Ah, okay. There's different. This board at the bottom, does that have more stuff on it? No. Let's see, where that had 2 cables going across to there. There's only one on this. So a little bit different here and there. Let's look inside this box, see if that's the same. Seems to be pretty similar. Okay, that's interesting. Things are similar. The test point that's soldered there, not on that one. Didn't see any other differences. No other obvious differences. There might be subtle differences. Who knows? Okay, let's try taking a bit more of this off. Now I actually know how to get the viewfinder off. That was a bit of a hassle, wasn't it? The key is this thing. You put that in and pull it out. Put something in there, slide it out, and then the viewfinder can come off, and that will also allow this housing to separate. Presumably the inside of the viewfinder will be the same, because what's going to be different about that? Well, what was going to be different about the main boards, and then look what we saw. Okay, so the viewfinder is that a 1-inch CRT? Maybe 1.5 inch? It's a 1-inch CRT. Black and white, anode, cap, deflection coils, the electron gun heater at the back there, and then little driver board, IC, 5-act transformer with voltage doubler stuff inside it, and a few bits of circuits to get the deflection working, all highly integrated. Okay, let's get these covers off. Ah yes, these parts are screwed to the side of the main metal part where the tube is, and to the bracket that the handle was on. Is there a third screw? Yes. They're very long screws. No, it just fall apart. Look at that, it just fell apart. No trouble at all. That's a wire that went somewhere, presumably. Well, I don't know. Oh yeah, okay. So that wire did go to the built-in microphone. Really? That's weird. Okay, so that shows another difference between the boards, because yeah, it's plugging into a connector. Oh, there, look, E5, so that's fitted. Oh yeah, that's because yeah, on the A2, the microphone just plugs into there. Whereas here, when that gets plugged in, it must turn off that one. So it must be a loop back kind of deal. Loop back? Like, don't know why, maybe, yeah, who knows. They must have kept the microphone cable assembly here consistent and not had a different one for the other camera. A bit weird, trying to work out why things are the way they are. Okay, so the tube and pickup parts will be the same. Controls, and then there's the zoom motor at the bottom. There's the iris or aperture servo there to open that up. And there's no autofocus. But remember, the autofocus, all it did was bring a power. It would have been this wire here, which instead of going just, is that right, just to the zoom motor, had power to the focus assembly. And then there was another wire that looped out to a little connector thing on the bottom of the camera. There were other connectors there. Look, automatic gain control, on, off. So you don't get that on this? Doesn't look like it, because there weren't any other buttons anywhere else. And the fade function also, which which is down there. Don't get that. So, oh, there you go. Some functions are not supported. So that was this board here. Down there, the switching on and off of the autofocus, and then these two controls for the automatic gain and fade, which, yeah, the fade was just that, and the automatic gain is a double throw single pole. So that must plug in somewhere that we've lost track of now. Maybe there's a 3-pin plug not doing anything in relatively the right position. Could have. Maybe the functionality is in there, but you just can't access it. That's interesting. Some noticing stuff. TQFP soldered down there onto the board, but only partially soldered down. Look at that. There is a silk screen put onto some of the areas where there would be pads, and then the leg is just floating there, not soldered down. On that too, there's a couple. I wonder what the motivation for that is. Is it easier to not solder them all down? I think they're running tracks under there. That's bizarre. Oh, yeah, they are running tracks under it. As you can see there, that one has 2 tracks going under it. So maybe on this device there is a bunch of unused pins, and then they can take advantage of that for extra routing space on the board. Looks like those 2 legs are soldered together. Nope, there's one of them is snapped off. Yeah, it looks like they are soldered together. Definitely are not. Look with this fancy microscope. See, legs cut off. Tracks going under the solder mask. No, not solder mask, the silk screen, the white stuff. In most cases. 2 under there, 2 under there. I think there was 2 on that one. Sort of. 2 there. 2 there. Interesting way of, I don't know, saving board real estate when just by luck you have not very many pins used on an IC. It's a little bit crazy. A little bit strange, but there you go. Okay. Is there anything else we need to look at here? So I feel like the lens assembly, that is probably the same, but it's not the same. It's not the same, is it? So it's the same specification of lens, a TV zoom lens, 8.5 to 51 millimeters, and f1.2 aperture, right through by the look of it. But that, it's like it's inside out. You see the A2 camera, the stationary part is over the part that turns when you focus. On the A1 camera, the stationary part is under the part that turns when you focus. So presumably that's covered up. I don't know how they implemented that. Is the thread size the same on the front? It is. Ah, okay. Well, that means then that that is the same diameter as that, and this is an additional part over it. Here's removable with some screws. Well, removable. It's loosenable. You have to take the whole lens apart by working out what's causing that to stop. Maybe we can find that by twisting this around. Oh, yes, there's a little nut thing. I don't know how you'd get that off without first taking this off. Yeah, you probably have to squeeze that off. You see, they usually hide screws underneath these rubbery things. Not easy to get those up. Yes, there are screws under it. Okay, let's go deep into this just because we can. Since it's all related material. sleeve. Where was it? Oh, it's under there. So while we're here, a TV zoom lens means that it maintains the focus at any focal length. The object you're focused on will remain in focus as you zoom in and zoom out. And it's achieved by the front element there moving linearly from front to back. But then the back element goes in then out again. And somehow that achieves it. I'm not sure how, but yeah, a lot of camera lenses, like for still photography, won't do that. They just zooms, so they don't have the ability to maintain focus as you zoom. So they're not very good for film production if you want to do some nice zoom shots. That's what it means by TV zoom. It means it's for television. Ah. Okay, I don't think we can get that off because all it does is turn a little spacer thing. It doesn't actually unscrew it because you've got to somehow hold it still. Maybe that can be done by holding this at an angle. I don't know how they got in there in the first place then. Oh well. Okay, there's a flange we can undo. Will that get us further in? Oh yes. Yeah, so the zoom actuator has come off. And now will this sleeve thing come off? Nope. No, a whole bunch of other stuff has to come off before that will. This clip thing. Oh yeah, that's the detent for the macro function. And that there will have to come off, which is a special part of the zoom functionality. Where's a fine flat screwdriver? Ah, look at that. Now that that's out of the way, now the focus part will screw off. No, there's another stop. Far out. Also, I think if we had the right tool to hook into there and there, this front element would unscrew. Need some kind of special thing like tweezers, but very rigid, to put on there and turn it. And I think it will be really easy to turn if you have the right tool, but without it, it will be very difficult. Like a lot of things, almost impossible unless you've got the right tool for it. The two bits in there. A nice thread. Wow. Nice thread. It's a thread. It might only have one start position. Who knows? Okay, one last thing I thought of while we're here. Why don't we try transplanting this board onto this camera and see if it will work more or not. Just for fun, since we're here. Is that possible? I think everything... enough... Oh, there you go, it's screwed back in. Enough things are pluggable. We won't have to like cut any cables or do any of that kind of funny business. This bottom piece out of the way, do we? Yes. Could do is shine a really bright, a really bright UV light into that while it's running and see how the behavior of the tube or the pickup changes. These shields are going to get lost. Did the other one have those? Yeah, it did. Okay, just getting this stuff out of the way. Now, can we transplant all of this stuff onto this one? Yes, we can, but it's not going to be easy. There's a few things we can just get rid of straight away, like the audio stuff. We don't need to worry about that. I'm not going to test the audio. Is there anything missing? Interesting that there is right angled now, as it was not right angled then. Does that mean it will plug in wrong? The brown one up the top. Oh no, that will be right. This will keep that metal cover because it's attached together. But these controls we won't need, so they can go away. These controls here, we can bring in the other board for that. So they go from there and here. So we don't need to worry about those. That comes off the target. The video out is there, so we need to watch out for that. What else is important here? All that stuff from the deflection board which plugs into there. And that ground goes onto the tube. Now what other things have we got on this side? So this quite many ways connector. That, just that which we're not using. This that goes off the deflection board. We got to get the base of the that thing out in order to connect the other board. Okay, yoinked it out, but it's got that wire as well. We'll just rip that out. We'll just pretend it doesn't need it, maybe. And then there's another ground wire. Wow, that was done up tight. Okay, so that plugged in there. Got this in there. That ground wire. This little cover on this stuff, just because that's attached to a ground wire as well. Oh, it doesn't fit in. Yeah, it fits in. Just got to push it in the right way. That. The video out wire, where's that? Here. So the two from the deflection, we've got to get that back in somehow. Bias light, where did that go? Just got yoinked out there. The ground. Other ground, which went with another wire. Guess it was that one. Grounds. Now, what else is holding this back? That, which is also another grounding thing on a plug. Just trying to untwist this stuff at the same time. Of course, there'll be calibrations and things that won't be right if this works at all, but just try it just for fun. Wow, that was super tied in. Okay, grounding wire down to there. What else? We've got that wire there. I think that's the audio output. And this one way over there. Yes, that comes from the back. Could we have just pulled all this stuff out of here? Is it too late now? Just to make this less of a mess. Let's do that. Just get rid of that stuff, it's annoying. Now where did this stuff go? That's the one that goes all the way to the back. The video out wire. The ground. Then we got these two here, which is the zoom motor and the iris motor servo thing. Not sure exactly how that works, some kind of coil thing. That one goes down to here. There's the audio and other control signals, and then this stuff, the power input, that, oh, that's part of the power switch, isn't it? It's standby switch? I don't really have a power switch, it's just standby or on. The actual power switch will be on your VCR or on that AC adapter thing. Okay, that's that. And we might as well hook up the viewfinder. Didn't even test that, did we? Oh well, just pretend it works. Well, we'll find out if it works. And I think the other plug from that goes down here. Yeah, it looks like it. Okay, viewfinder. This isn't dodgy at all. Now, this thing, can we just slide this off? No, it's all stuck down. Which way around does that go to plug onto the tube? It seems like something you need to be really careful with. Okay, we're going to have to peel this off and get into there. But it's all soldered shut. Yeah, it'd be quite a job. The service manual goes through explaining how to change the tube. And they say, oh yeah, just peel the stuff off, undo these things, and then just put it all back how you found it. No worries. Then run the whole like adjustment calibration procedure. Come on, just unstick. I think that's only the first layer. Now we've got the next layer to deal with. What are we doing this for? Just to see if it works by changing the main boards, I guess. It's probably that one that's the problem. I guess we'll try that one next if doing this didn't do anything. Well, if it made it worse, then maybe we won't. Okay, so that's unpeeled enough that we can plug this on. Now the gap. There you go. That just solders onto a place. All good. Maybe it, I don't know where it was. Maybe it was that. Maybe it came out and was soldered in at a different level. Anyway, let's juice this up and see what happens. Got all the requisitive bits there. Nothing's touching that shouldn't be. There's where the cable goes. I'm going to get out all this stuff again that we put away. Okay, these extra bits are being hooked up off screen. Okay, does anything else need to touch together and short out? Or are we all good to go? Gee, there's no screws under there. Flip that up so we can see what's going on in there. And yeah, 2.4 watts, so it's doing its usual thing. So let's flip it to on. Oh, I didn't plug in the video cable. Nothing's coming out. Oh, hang on a minute. Didn't hook up these ground wires and one of them's poking into a connector. Wonder if that matters. Oops. Didn't seem to be outputting anything. So we'll get these ground wires hooked up. See if that changes anything. Very unlikely. Is there anything else that needed doing? Put those switches in the center. That went to that little control panel thing that presumably doesn't matter. This little thing here. Okay, so it's about as good as it was before. You see that? The picture was like completely white. Wow, that's interesting. So we haven't made it worse, but it doesn't work yet. Okay, first we'll try to change that thing, because that is probably what the problem is. Except the one we've got, not that. Oh, that's the thing I threw away, isn't it? Because it was so corroded out and horrible that I didn't want to touch it again. Oh well, yeah, that's already gone, because it was all sticky and gross. So I'm going to assume that that board there is what is the problem with this camera. Power supplies are probably dead. Well, Not dead completely, but very noisy. Did the viewfinder do anything? Let's warm it up for a bit. And then go. Oh yeah, look at that. The viewfinder's doing, well, I can see it's doing the same thing that we see on the screen here, which is that. Zoom motor functions. Not that that's a very tough ask. Is that the aperture? Oh yeah, it is doing it. Yeah, that little lever there is moving up and down, and it shuts off the picture. See, the picture goes away. Beautiful picture. Oh, something's getting a bit angry. Can't see the bias light is on. Alright, I think we'll leave it there because it's going to become sad and probably something will explode. That capacitor's probably bulging right now, waiting to pop. So, there's a kind of weird look. A look inside and somewhat of a comparison between the National Panasonic WVP-A2 and the presumably earlier or cheaper model, the National or Panasonic WVP-A1. Video cameras. Just video cameras. No recording or powering in them. And yeah, we had a look at the differences and similarities. Found some interesting stuff. A very poor attempt at a repair that didn't really succeed, but probably proved that that is the problem. Always going to be power supplies in this old stuff because of the capacitors going bad. So hopefully that was enjoyable. And what do you want to do next time? Do this? Should we take this thing apart? This nice VCR and see what's going on in there? Or do you want to do more cameras? Let me know, and maybe it will influence my decision, or I'll just decide on the day like I usually do.